Oh, what a great day. I'm just so excited. I feel like it's a new day. I feel like things are possible again. I feel like Trump can finally not worry so much about, well, he still has to worry for his safety, but he can just lead and do his thing and be a boss and go to work and not be so worried about all the lawfare and all the bullshit that the left has been putting him through these last, I don't know, 10 years, but more so last 4 years. Also very exciting to hear that all the January 6 hostages will be released. Yes, hostages. Hey, if Biden can pardon his criminal family, Trump can pardon these innocent people who wandered into the Capitol. So here's a clip of Tim Pool slamming a Gen Z Democrat for defending fascism and accusing Trump for advocating for violence. Let's pull this up. I think Tim just kind of like really
who said it is better that 100 guilty persons escape than one innocent person suffer. You've taken the Otto von Bismarck approach of it is better that 10 innocent people suffer than one guilty person escape.
Oh, look at this guy. How old is this kiddo?
No.
Yeah. Well, okay, you have.
No,
right.
I
So
haven't.
you, so
People
no, stop. You don't know anything about these January 6 cases.
Woo! I love this already. Yes, Tim. Fire it up.
You don't know why these people are in jail. You don't know that a man is in Brooklyn right now for 3 years without charge or trial. And when Donald Trump says these people have been held for too long, you say, no, Trump is wrong. Keep them locked up. That's fucking fascist.
Ooh.
Dude, you have you've been.
Look at him. He looks like this little guy hasn't been challenged. He's just shocked. This guy's stunned.
Dude, you've been sitting here with no knowledge of the specifics of some of these cases. There is a man in Brooklyn right now. I'm going to say it again. No charges whatsoever brought. And he's been in jail for 3 fucking years.
Wow.
For you to sit there and say it is good that he remains locked up is fascism. That is saying the hierarchical system of the courts and the government is just, and the process is all that matters. And I am saying perhaps 3 years is enough, because I actually have moral logic and an understanding of these cases. Hence, my position on January 6th has always been the people who have attacked police must go to prison. But 3 years is a fucking long time for assault on an officer. We have seen people on the far left, notably when they were firebombing shit all across Minnesota, 33 people murdered. And how many criminal charges do we get for this? When they firebombed a police station and forced the police to evacuate on May 29th, 2020.
I know this is a few weeks old. I'm catching up on it.
When thousands of far leftists firebombed the White House grounds and set fire to St. John's Church and injured 100 police officers, how many fucking people went to prison for 3 years? How many of them who never showed up on that day are in prison for 20 years? Enrique Tarrio wasn't even in D.C. on January 6th. And you are saying that man who his only crime was, quote, don't leave. That's his only crime. You think he should be in prison for 20 years because you're a fascist. You don't care what the facts are. You don't care if this is unjust. You only care that the machine state has decreed you are not to be locked up. And this is the problem I have with the left. They don't know the facts. They don't care about the facts. They view morality as a blanket government stroke of the pen. And every person, regardless of their crime, should be in prison for decades. I reject it outright. The people who fought cops should go to prison. They did. It's been 3 years. But when you've got people who are on misdemeanor charges for having walked into a building at 4 p.m. after the riot, and I know some of these people, they walked into a building for 2 minutes and walked out, and they got 18 months for that.
Shit.
I don't see you defending the innocent people who walked onto a public grass at a public building after a riot had been completed. You don't know. You don't care. You've taken a tribal position, and people are suffering because of it. Now you say that Donald Trump saying the injustice that we've seen warrants commutation or pardons. You say that means he's advocating for violence.
Wow.
This is the ultimate problem. Then you cite a
right. The left says the same thing in the clip we played. What was it, on Simcast, or maybe it was my other morning live stream, or maybe it was on this other show I did. But it was basically like it was Rachel Maddow on her show saying that all these J6 pardons means that they now can do violence, or that like Trump wants them, that they're just carte blanche, they can do whatever they want now. So stupid.
press release from Maryland saying, but the right's more violent. There is a distinction between a white supremacist as a right-wing group and a run-of-the-mill Christian conservative who showed up on that day not to protest. Let's talk about Brandon Strzok. He never went in the building. He was on the other side of the building. There was a permitted protest. He walked up the stairs and he was yelling. They put this guy in prison. There was Owen Schroyer, who was at a permitted rally, who was yelling death to communists. They put him in prison and specifically cited his speech. My dude, you don't know what you're talking about. And it's fine. I get it. We try to be polite. We try to be nice. But there are so many young liberals who sit here and say, the corporate press told me that these people are bad and the machine state government has decreed it by pen. So I don't care what crime they committed. I don't care what the jury said. I don't care who was on the jury. Enrique Tarrio, who was not there, should be in prison for 2 decades. Tell me this now. Why is Enrique Tarrio in prison?
Yeah, so they uncovered with him his plot to overthrow the government.
Enrique Tarrio?
Yeah, and his organization.
What plot? Who's they? Give me some
prosecutors.
Give me some fucking data. Stop squinting at me and saying the prosecutors did a thing. You didn't know. You didn't read it. You didn't read the court papers.
Wow.
All you know is the fascist machine state told you he should be in prison, and you're saying yes to them.
Wow.
Tell me why. Give me the data.
I understand that laws on the books have been there for a long time that I agree with. That if it's proven that you had a plan and you wanted to act on it, and then days after, the proof is
say the proof
by prosecutors.
Say it.
Communications between
what communications? What did he say? What did he do?
Are you? Is this serious?
Are you going to tell me why you think Enrique Tarrio should be in prison for 20 years, or are you going to say the government decreed it?
I just explained to you.
So the government said so. Is that it?
It's usually law enforcement, which I guess is part of the government.
Government said so?
Yep. Law enforcement that uncovers evidence of communications, a memo that he crafted and sent to his organization,
saying what?
That detailed each institution of government that they were going to try to overthrow. Then just days later, his organization is at the Capitol.
Oh, is he looking something up?
I don't think we can even pull up Enrique Tarrio.
I'm not quite sure that there's any evidence of that sort.
Yeah. You know what? I'll say this. The idea that Enrique Tarrio crafted a memo outlining or they 3 months featured witness evidence featured Tarrio and co-defense included videos, thousands of messages and encrypted chat groups, as well as a public message on Parler. On or before January 6th, Tarrio convened a Ministry of Self-Defense to coordinate Proud Boys leadership on January 6th. The chat showed that Tarrio, stationed in Baltimore, encouraged the Proud Boys as they attacked the Capitol. Let's figure out what that encouragement was. Are they going to actually say in the article? So here's a citation. Proud Boy and 3 other members of the far-right groups were convicted Thursday in a plot to attack the Capitol. A jury in Washington, D.C. found Tarrio and 3 lieutenants guilty of seditious conspiracy after hearing dozens of witnesses. Jurors cleared a 5th defendant, Dominic Pizzola, on a citizen charge and a significant milestone of the Justice Department, which is now secured a conspiracy, blah, blah, blah. They will never stop. Okay, that's interesting. Wikipedia asserts that they did this, but there's actually nothing in the news article that actually states that is true.
Wow.
Well, now we got a problem. Let's try this again. Let's try a secondary source. Let's see. There it is. They introduced evidence that Tarrio discussed with associates a plan to have a large crowd in Washington storm government buildings in a scheme they called 1776 Returns, in which the Winter Palace was used as an apparent code for the U.S. Capitol. In a message, he said, make no mistake, we did this, do what must be done, and he directed the Proud Boys to do it again. So the question then becomes,
where
in the bigger picture.
So are you going to at all acknowledge that you just blew up over something that I was absolutely citing fairly?
I don't think you cited it fairly.
I think people should be prosecuted for engaging in plans to overthrow a government. That's kind of
that's a very loose definition of plans to overthrow the government.
Y'all don't seem to be that informed.
Wait, Luke, respectfully, I cover a lot of protests and riots. A lot of people try to protest and riot and occupy government buildings. Do you think that qualifies as trying to, overthrow your government?
No.
Okay, good. So
but if they had a plan to take control of the government, which was this
Where
one,
is
if
the
this
plan?
was an actual plan, this was the leastly poorly, most
over the government,
ridiculous plan ever. They went after people for having Lego sets of the Capitol. I mean, the level of political prosecution. Would you even admit that there was some level of politics when it came to the prosecution of the J6ers? Would you say politics played a role in this?
Engaging with this as thoughtfully as possible, not trying to grandstand. Of course, often for very justifiable reasons, prosecutors will try to make an example of someone who, for example, tried to overthrow the government to prevent the peaceful transfer of power. I see why
a Capitol building.
Such a thing,
personally, I reject
categorized as sedition,
overthrow the government,
would be uniquely bad to prosecutors and political in that this all involved politics, right? And thus,
I'm sorry, I have to say this. Sent. The Wikipedia article making those claims is not citing any actual proof that they said those things.
Ooh, you got fact checked.
Yeah. Because we're harping on these pardons. Pardons are obviously an interesting political, constitutional quirk.
Nobody was armed.
That presidents are able to do that. It really does undermine the law in our country. But Biden's getting a lot of pushback for clemency that he granted for the Cash for Kids judge who was responsible.
This is an excellent point, NKFD. An insurrection happens when people attempt to take over the government with the military. Actual force. Nobody had weapons that day.
Responsible for sending something like 2,000 children into a Pennsylvania jail, a private prison that he was getting kickbacks for. Do you think that was worse than any pardon Donald Trump could give to any January 6th rioter?
He's like, what?
Have you heard of this judge that Joe Biden granted clemency for? A judge who was responsible for sending thousands of teenagers to prison for, otherwise misdemeanor charges while he was getting kickbacks for. Joe Biden was getting a lot of pushback for this because
I've been agreeing with a lot.
So have you heard?
I'm not going to make
this guy specifically.
I've heard of that, but I'm not as read in on it as I should be to speak on it. But
I wonder if
I was more focused on just because it was the big story, and I wanted to again advocate principle. His Hunter Biden pardon, which has been the topic of discussion pardon-wise for us mostly.
Yeah, it was funny because you were telling us a little bit pre-show that you actually had a first-hand experience with Hunter Biden. I don't know. Can you tell us anything about your experience firsthand with?
Yeah, just at the holiday party.
The myth, the legend. Yeah.
Yeah, I knew somebody at the White House who invited me to the White House party, the holiday party. Hunter Biden was there. I found it kind of strange.
I feel like
what was it? I'm sorry. What was his reception?
Right, dude. Who cares? There's a saying that if you're not liberal when you're young, you have no heart, and if you're not conservative when you're old, you have no head. But the interesting thing about it is, like, what we define as conservative or liberal are amorphous, right? So, like, what does it mean to be conservative? Who wants to try and explain?
Wow, Tim could be a teacher. This is how I know Tim's gonna be a good dad.
Tyrannies in this country.
That was fire.
Because they're not liberals. It would happen.
Or masking. It was always an option. You were never forced.
Well,
they tried to use OSHA to make it.
They required that if you had more than 100 employees, you were forced to issue vaccine mandates.
COVID stuff,
or masks.
Sure, pick one.
Yeah,
the government forced every company to do this.
Yeah, and the government has all sorts of mandates for safety.
He is wrong. I worked at a company that forced the vaccine because I tried to state my case for frequent testing, and I don't think I said I would wear a mask. But I think at the time, maybe I would have been willing to keep my job. But it was like, oh, do you want to do frequent testing or do you want to get the vaccine? I was like, I'll do frequent testing. And then they're like, sorry, that's not good enough. We're still going to fire you. So this kiddo is wrong.
Or masks.
Sure. Pick one.
Yeah.
The government forced every company to do this.
Yeah, and the government has all sorts of mandates for safety, and
OSHA has no authority to do anything like that, and the Supreme Court found it. Agreed.
Listen. I'm totally fine if this is your argument. That's fine.
I'm just saying that
if you think that filing a defamation lawsuit is comparable to the government mandating everybody engage in a medical practice,
there's nothing more authoritarian than saying we should terminate the Constitution because
why did he say that?
Election lies pulled up on True Social. The MSNBC comment he talked about.
We went over this one with Shank on the terminate the Constitution, and I'll give.
Yeah, don't defend that. It's just ugh. It's just like you don't. The Constitution shouldn't be terminated.
You didn't say that.
Pull it up, please. A massive fraud of this type of magnitude allows for the termination of all rules, regulations.
We went over this with Jack, and I know that you guys have a tribal reason why you're going to you're not.
No. I think there's just few things that are so succinctly an embodiment of someone's lack of dedication to our Constitution. So
let me ask you a question.
Him thinking Ann Seltzer.
Let me ask you a question. If I said the overturning of Roe v. Wade allows for women to be put in bonnets and red dresses and forced to be impregnated, am I calling for them to be?
Yeah, you're alluding to that being, yeah.
No. So when the Democrats literally said that,
that's the argument?
So you agree that the Democrats want to put women in bonnets?
Oh,
no, I understand that you can.
You caught him, Tim. You caught him.
Both make an argument that we live in some dystopian reality where this is the case.
So here's my point.
But Trump earlier in the message was talking about overturning the election. He was saying he would be the one by the mechanism of terminating the Constitution.
So this
overturn the election results.
I'd call this the Covington effect. When was that the Covington kids, or the Sandman effect? Trump said, "Do you throw the presidential election results of 2020 out and declare the rightful winner, or do you have a new election?" A massive fraud of this type and magnitude allows for the termination of all.
Chief authoritarian crime you could do is trying to prevent the key part of our democratic process, which is the peaceful transfer of power.
So
chief authoritarian crime you could do is kill someone without due process, but we won't get into that one tonight.
That was Obama.
That's right.
The point here is when we're trying to logically understand what is going on, because clearly it's not so easy to say Trump is evil, Trump is good. There's two.
Wow, what a great rant. Good job, Tim. Tim Pool has never used the F word this many times. Nope. Kid's like, I can't be fascist. I do everything the government tells me to. He was so taken aback at being called a fascist. Wait, that's what we call you guys. Exactly. Good comment. Bruh, his face was like, I think one of his brain cells snapped. I got fired for not getting, I was fired for not getting jabbed. And I was teaching online in isolation at the time and was going to continue teaching online in isolation for another 3 semesters. Most people now sadly just call folks they don't agree with fascists while ironically acting like fascists themselves with zero sense of self-awareness while shamelessly self-serving. The jabs were not optional for many workers. There's so much additional BS to unpack with this youngster. Some people were not in a position where they could afford to lose their job. I find it hard to comprehend people overthrowing a government without guns. Who is this kid? Let's look him up. Luke Beasley. Luke P. Beasley on X. Who are you? Who are you, Beasley? Let's look up this little whippersnapper. I give them credit for having a progressive on. Progressive political commentator, The Luke Beasley Show. Check out the show. Wow. How old are you? He joined Twitter in January of 2022. Okay, so he just joined. You just got here. Let's see. What does he think about Trump's America?
We are here at Giant in Washington, D.C. Tonight, you know how it is. Normal Monday night, making a charcuterie board. That's not the right word. A Epicurean array. Was that it, Jaden? Was that what we were going to... No, I think it's a gastronomic... No.
I already hate him.
Amuse-bouche assortment. First, you need a bag of ice for pirate booty.
Okay, he's arrogant and it seems like his parents are rich. Love you guys. Thank you for the chats. Thank you for the comments. I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye. Bye. All right, love you guys. God, I don't even want to leave. This candle smells so good. I don't want to leave. All right, love you guys. Talk to you soon. Bye. Love you all. Join the Discord. Feet. Love you all. Wow. You guys are awesome. Come and get it. Bye, guys. Bye. Now I'm really leaving. Love you. Bye.